since I've uploaded a video, and generally most of my videos have been like, I don't even know how to describe them. It's like, look, here's some really weird short clips of me doing things. And I mean, it's fun and all, but like I have no, like I don't want to edit them, I don't want to film. So I've been like thinking about this for a while, and I'm finally doing it. I kind of want to like become more of like a booktubing, book review channel. And I know nobody really cares about what my 2 cents on books are, but I'm gonna give them to you anyway. So to start off with all of this, I figured I should just answer a bunch of questions. I searched up like booktubing tags. I found a bunch of websites from 2015. I feel like I belong on Tumblr. And I figured I'd just answer a couple about like me and reading and books and things, you know, considering that's what my channel might consist of. I know English. So yeah, so the first question I found was like, who or what got you into reading? I mean, I've always liked reading. I always used to read a lot when I was a little kid, but I guess like the first thing that really made me like a fan of books, and like when I started getting like kind of like obsessed more with like the fandoms and like all that, was Harry Potter. I got into that in like 3rd grade because it was on my reading list, and my family was like,
oh, you'll really love that, you should read it.
I had no intention of reading it, and they're like,
Read it.
and I was like obsessed with it, and I read all the books, and like that got me into like all the young adult series and everything like that. So those were like, that's like really what got me into it. So I guess like just my family in general, because they were all like encouraging me and like they forced me to read it, and I was like, wait, I love it. The first books I remember being my favorite were the Magic Tree House books. I had like all of them. I love those books. They're so good. They all had that little like quirky little title. I don't know, it was like Luau in London. That doesn't make any sense, but it was like really, I just love those books so much. Okay, my current favorite books are The Picture of Dorian Gray. I read that about a year ago, and I just love Oscar Wilde so much. So like that's just kind of been my like go-to. If someone's like, what's your favorite book? That's just what I'll say, because I just love it. And then Beartown, I just finished it. So whenever I finish like a new book and I really like it, I'm like, that's my favorite book. And then I'll read a new book and be like, wait. But I love Friedrich Backman, who wrote it, so much. Which kind of goes into my next question, which is authors I love. So Oscar Wilde, we had to read, what got me into it was we had to read The Importance of Being Earnest. It's like summer reading, and normally I didn't do my summer reading, but I decided to read it because it was like really tiny, and I like loved it. I was like, it's really funny. And then I decided to read Picture of Dorian Gray. I bought it and it was sitting on a shelf for the longest time, and then one day I was like, let me, you know, read it, and I loved it. And I just kind of love that like era and like early 20th century literature. So yeah. And Friedrich Backman, I've read 3 of his books so far. I'm like trying to slowly make my way through all his books. He has about like 7 or 8. And I just finished Beartown. And all his books are just so good. And they're like translated because he's from Sweden. So I like, if they're this beautiful translated, like I literally can't imagine what they're like originally, but I love them to absolute death. How many books do you read in a month? The short answer is not enough. I read about like 1 a month, and that's being generous. There are like long periods where I just go without reading, but now I have a lot more free time on my hands, so I just want to read as like much as I can. And I want to read at least like 2 or 3, which I know is still like kind of small for a lot of people, but start small, and then I'll like gradually increase. Favorite versus least favorite genres. My favorite genre, as I said before, is like early 20th century literature. I know it's not like a genre, it's more of like a section, I don't know, but I really like it. Young adult fiction, you know, Percy Jackson, all that. I haven't really been to like, I don't know what's like hip with the kids, meaning the middle schoolers, on young adult fiction right now, but I love those books. And poetry, just any type of poetry, I'll read it. I love it, can't get enough of it. My least favorite is definitely nonfiction. I really don't read books that are nonfiction like at all. Like I just don't care. I know it's awful, but like I don't. The last nonfiction book I read was like 2 years ago, and it was Modern Romance, I think it was called. It was Aziz Ansari's book, and this was before he was canceled. But I read it, and it was like about like online dating. It was actually kind of good, but for the most part, like I'm not interested in nonfiction books. My favorite character or characters. Any of the characters from like any of the Percy Jackson books, I love. I was just always so invested in like what was gonna happen next, and I was just like, I love them. I love them. Yeah, and the ships, like just the relationships, so good. Just yeah. My least favorite characters were pretty much any of the characters, but especially Bernadette from Where'd You Go, Bernadette. I just finished it about a month ago, and I really like the book. Was interesting, and like it was formatted weirdly. Like the first like half of it primarily wasn't like traditional narrative. It was like you learn the story through different emails and letters and phone calls and stuff like that, and I do kind of like that formatting. It's a little different and it's nice. And it was like kind of witty and whatever, but like the characters just seemed to lack like any like decent motives. Like this is not really a spoiler, but like Bernadette, the whole premise of the book is that this mother Bernadette like goes missing, and the daughter has to like go find her. They're making it into a movie or something, which is why I decided to read it. And there's just like no real like motive, and I guess this is a spoiler. The author is just like, oh, well, she had a mental breakdown because she was some famous architect, and now she's not, and she's losing it. I'm like, that's not really motivation. Why did she wait 15 years or 12 years or however long to do this? And like, why are people now only realizing she's crazy? Like, they didn't realize when she was doing this before. Like, it just didn't make sense, and I found the character kind of just obnoxious, and she was the protagonist. I wasn't a fan. Favorite book / movie adaptation. Harry Potter. I don't read, I mean, they were pretty accurate for the most part. Like, they kept with the plot. I think they were pretty faithful to the characters. You know, there were a lot of minor details that like they didn't do, and you can kind of pick those apart. But for the most part, like, the movies are really good. They're accurate to the plot. I enjoy them. Least favorite book movie adaptation has to be The Mortal Instruments. Like, it's a god-awful movie to begin with, and if you've ever seen it, like, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, just don't even bother watching it. Like, it didn't even follow the plot. Like, I don't even remember what the plot of the movie was, because it wasn't even a coherent plot. Like, they didn't even like begin to follow the plot of the book. It was like, oh, here are these shadow hunters, they did their thing, and they walked off. It was like awful, and nothing made me angrier, and I still want like my $2 back that I paid to rent it. I watched it like years ago. I refused to ever like even look at the movie poster again. Like, it was bad. Okay. Books that made you cry. The most recent book that made me cry was probably A Man Called Ove, also by Friedrich Bachmann. It was the second of like the 3 books I read by him. Yeah, it was just really sad. It had like a nice like little bittersweet ending. It was like a happy cry in a way, but it was just like, oh, you know, but really, really liked the book. It just made me, you know, tear up a little bit. Okay, currently reading Crazy Rich Asians. I just bought it today. I'm on page 54, so I'm not too far into it. I really, really loved the movie. The movie was just like so cute, and also the main actor was like really hot. So I thought I'd read the book. I went in, I didn't know what I was gonna buy, and then I saw this, and I was like, this seems interesting, why not? I really like it so far. I'm not too far into it, and like I do kind of, if the movie sticks with the plot, which I have no clue if it does, but as of right now, it's pretty consistent. Then I kind of already know what happens, but I'm really excited to read it and finish it as soon as possible, because like I didn't want to put it down, and then I had to go home, so I like had to put it down. But I'll probably like try to like read it all tonight. But yeah. Okay, so that was my little get to know me booktuber tag thing. This video is not very long. I'm filming it and it's like 10 minutes, so it's probably gonna be shorter once I edit it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm probably gonna do a book review on Beartown, which was the last book I finish soon. I still don't know what I'm gonna do for it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.